All right. So I think race is a super interesting topic. And I think both of us, having known each other since we were kids, like sophomores in high school and
Freshman for me.
Freshman for you. It's a weird thing growing up in a place like LA. And I remember before I moved to LA, I lived in Thousand Oaks, which was like a predominant like white area.
Yep.
And although race to me was never a really big thing, there was a noticeable difference of moving to a place like LA and realizing like, oh my God, like look at all these different types of people. Because where I went to high school and junior high, it was basically like 95, maybe 98% white.
What? I didn't know that.
Oh yeah, it was almost
before you met me.
Yes. So before I moved to LA, it was like,
okay, I didn't know this.
Yeah, this was like, I mean, my junior high, I think there was legitimately maybe 3 or 4 minority people, period.
Well, you know what? Technically, same. Well, my elementary school was diverse, but my junior high was primarily white.
Yeah. And it's funny how, like, as I got older, I remember, and this would be a funny one, but like the first thing I thought was like, wow, look at all these beautiful girls. Like, look at all these. I just kept thinking like how beautiful all these girls were. And I was like amazed. Like obviously there were pretty girls where I grew up, but everyone
They're different
kind of
flavors now.
Yes, exactly, right. It just everything was the same kind of donut, right, or ice cream. Like
exactly.
It was so, but you're like, but it also reminded me that I was probably more aware of race when I moved to LA.
Yep.
Because of that fact that like you knew.
Oh, and everyone talked about it. I mean, remember where we went to high school, and even since I was in elementary school, the moment you're walking up past those lunch tables. You're getting clowned for your race, what you're wearing, and what you look like.
Yeah.
You know, if you're hot, if you're not, if you wore some tore up shoes, oh shit, you got them little wannabe wannabe Nikes on today, like, and you just had to take it and be like, whatever, check you out with your you know. Yeah. And I just feel like whatever your race was, I mean, I think I got called I used to get called broke ass Selena back then because that's when Selena came out. You know, the first J-Lo, they'd be like, hey, little broke ass Selena coming down. It's like, what? Shut up, broke ass Blade.
I mean, but that's the funny part, right? Is it like when you have certain identities, and I think, especially for me being like multiracial, right?
Yeah.
I never identified with any one particular race, but I was very aware of all these races. And so,
same.
You know, how do you think, like, was there any moment in your life growing up that you either became like super aware that race mattered, or that there was something that like was impactful to you growing up?
Well, I feel like in elementary school, I wasn't aware of the race thing. Everybody was diverse, and hip hop, old school, hip hop dominated the charts, and I was watching Michael and Madonna. And then junior high, I became friends with a lot of Caucasian girls. But then I remember feeling like the odd man out in that group, and just kind of being like, oh, you're so dark. Like, look at you get so dark when you lay in the sun, and your butt, or just like weird comments. And I'd be like, my butt, or my lips, or you got such big lips. And like, it'd be like, what? Like, I didn't know what that meant. And and then I remember being befriended by friends that I have still to this day, like Talisha and Asia and Felicia, and them kind of like welcoming me into their crew and being like, you're a cool girl, don't worry, we like you for who you are. And I'm like, what? And it just made me feel like, is that a thing? Like, and then I started noticing the difference between how I was with them versus how I was with, the Caucasian girls. It's like, I'd be a little more cool, like, hey, what's up, girls? And then with the Caucasian girls, I was a little bit more like trying to not say the wrong thing. And then when I went to Birmingham, it was like back to everyone being black or Latino. Right. But then I dealt with a lot of like black girls being like that mixed girl or light skinned girl. And I'm like, what? So I just always kind of felt like I didn't relate to any one particular race. Yeah. But I did feel like black people were more accepting of me.
Yeah, but when you're saying all that, there's 2 things that are coming up for me that are actually really important. One is, it made me think, is it possible that women face a different kind of, moment in their lives when they're, identifying with race? Because what you brought up was like your skin, your lips, your butt. Whereas I think for men, it's different. It's like your behavior, right? Like if you're a minority person, it's like you should act this way. you don't talk this way. You don't, it's more about like your behavior for a man, and for a woman, it seems like maybe it's possible it's more about like your look.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like,
right.
It just, again, it made me think that thought because of what you're saying. And
yeah.
There's such this weird difference between how men and women go through life and what is expected of us. And,
yeah.
what, so it's weird how even race can be something like, oh, it's because...
Makes you feel like you should be a certain way. I mean, and today I have friends of all races, Caucasian, Black, Latino, and I love them all the same. I don't think... I look at us all as the human race, but I do feel like kind of just being like, oh, that's a thing.
Yeah.
Like I'm being looked at as a certain way because... And I think... I still never fully understood. I think in junior high, a girl had to stop hanging with me because her mom said she can't hang with Mexicans. Like my brother. And
wow.
I didn't really understand it. I just knew my brother like cussed her mom out on the phone, and I never was able to hang out with her again.
Yeah.
But I'm not Mexican, but I love Mexicans. I live in a great...
Yeah. No, it's just, that's the second thing that it was going to bring to my mind is that how it then alters your actual behavior and thought process about what you're doing. Because if you have to act a certain way around this group versus this group. And we went to a school that was so diverse that you could be hanging out with, athletes or Hispanic people or Asian people and
be the same.
And be the same. But then in some cases, you also notice that your behavior would alter slightly, right?
I'm telling you. And do you notice like certain people, and I'm not going to name names, but if they're around all their white friends at work, they'll be a little more proper. Sure. But if they're around all their black friends, they're like, hey, what's up, bro? They're just like tone changes a little bit. And is that weird? Like, shouldn't we just be the same with everybody?
Yeah, I don't know. I actually kind of think that that's just natural assimilation, right? Is that like if look, as human beings, I think we all want to just fit in. Like, regardless of the situation.
We all just don't want to be judged by...
We don't want to be outsiders, right? Yeah. So if I'm around my, predominantly white people or black people or Hispanic people, I just kind of want to adapt because, like, evolutionarily, we evolved to be part of the tribe.
Yeah.
You didn't want to be away from the group. You want to be part of the group. That's how you survived, right? Like, so meaning, I think...
That's true. You're just trying to fit in. And when you're in junior high and high school... You want everyone to like you. God forbid someone doesn't like you, then the whole high school doesn't like you. So
and I think that's what makes it so hard for kids, especially.
Yeah.
Because kids, they don't know the barrier that they should cross or stay behind, right? That like, well, should I go this far or that far? Do people like me because of this or that? And that becomes hard because if it's something that's it feels very tied to you. Like some kids are so tied to that feeling of like, I don't want to be perceived this way as a bad kid, or I don't want to be perceived as a ghetto kid, or I don't like that can be really strong. Like that can be a really strong thing for people.
Yeah, exactly. And I think just thinking about what kids are going through now with probably having to be more involved in politics than we were at their age and having to choose. Yeah. I mean, were we thinking about presidents in junior high school?
Just Bill Clinton and his blowjob. That was it.
Right. It was just he's just a joke for
that's it. Yeah.
For lunchtime.
Yeah, but like but it's true, and I think kids today, the good thing and the bad thing is that they're so much more exposed to so many things, right? Like whether it's politics, whether it's just other people's thought process, whether it's what's possible, they're exposed to everything, which can take a route of good and bad. Because the good is that, oh wow, everything's possible, and the bad is, oh my god, everything's possible, right? Like everything bad that could happen. Right. But everything good can happen too. And like it just depends on which way you look at it.
Yep. And there's stereotypes for every race. And I think really is. In general, you don't ever want to be any kind of stereotype. Yeah. And just even thinking about that. I hate that race is even a thing and that this world has made such a thing of it. And there's all these different things going on. And all like the All Lives Matter, Black Lives Matter, and all the different groups and everyone teaming up against each other. It's just, that bums me out.
Yeah, no, I agree. And I think we will get to a place where race will play less of a factor. And I think in some ways it kind of is.
Yeah, I think things that are happening right now needed to happen and needed to be exposed. And there's things that need to change in our world.
Yeah, no, I agree. Hey everybody, I'm Adam Khalil. Thank you so much for listening to this video. I definitely want you to subscribe to the channel if you want to hear more content like this. But if this content had any value to you, click the like button as well.